You know that feeling when you first try to learn a new physical skill? It could be anything, dancing, a new sport, or in this case, Kung Fu. There's this universal journey we all go on. It starts out kind of awkward, then it gets frustrating, but if you stick with it, something amazing happens. It leads to this profound shift, not just in your body, but in your mind. Today, we're going to explore that exact journey, all through the eyes of some beginner Kung Fu students, to see what they found out, way beyond just learning how to punch. Their instructor, their Sifu, shared this proverb with them, and it really sets the stage for everything. See, the goal isn't just to learn how to fight. It's about developing a mindset, a kind of quiet preparedness, so you can live a peaceful life. It's all about having skills that you hope you never ever have to use. So every journey starts with that first step, right? For these students, it was about learning the basic drills, kind of like learning the alphabet of this whole new physical language. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, because you see just how personal the learning process is. For some students, a certain move just clicks. Riley, for example, said Soo 2 felt smooth and natural. But then you have someone like Cameron, and for him, that very same move was a huge struggle. It just goes to show you there's no one-size-fits-all path here. Everybody's body and brain connect to these movements in their own unique way. And this quote from Samuel, it just brilliantly illustrates that moment of connection. For him, it's not just about, doing the move correctly. He actually describes the feeling of it being good and safe. And that's the moment a technique stops being just a series of steps and starts becoming a real tool, something you actually own and feel confident using. Okay, so the students are learning the moves, they're building up a little bit of confidence, but then comes the first real test, applying those moves not against a punching bag, but against a partner who's actually resisting, especially when you're in the most vulnerable position imaginable, on the ground. This is the question that changes everything. It's a scenario nobody wants to even think about. And for these students, it was a moment of some pretty profound and often shocking realization. You can just feel the surprise in Riley's words here. I mean, knowing what to do in theory is one thing, but like she says, you add the simple reality of another person's full body weight, and suddenly it's 10 times more difficult. This is where that classroom knowledge smacks right into a very humbling reality. Jaden felt that same difficulty, but his takeaway points to the solution. The escape isn't about trying to overpower someone, no way. It's about knowing where to push, where to strike. It's about knowledge itself becoming a kind of power that brute strength just can't compete with. And Cameron's experience really drives this point home. For someone who already feels like they're at a physical disadvantage, this scenario feels, and these are his words, like he's at a huge disadvantage. That struggle is universal, right? It taps into this primal fear of being trapped. But this is the exact feeling that sets them all up for their biggest breakthroughs. But you know what comes after the struggle? The insight. This is the pivot point in every single learner's journey, that amazing moment where the real lesson finally truly clicks into place. And here it is. This is the most crucial point. Every single student, after feeling totally overwhelmed, came to the exact same conclusion. The answer wasn't about getting stronger, it was about getting smarter. There it is, a huge mindset shift from Riley. She figured out that real power doesn't just come from muscle. It comes from leverage. By changing how she positioned her hips, her legs, her shoulders, she could generate way more power with a lot less effort. It's basically about working with physics, not fighting against it. And Cameron had that exact same aha moment, but with a specific technique. Instead of just trying to push up, he learned how to buck his hips and shift his opponent's weight. It's a perfect example of using someone's momentum against them, turning your disadvantage into an advantage. I mean, that's the secret language of martial arts, right? Mind over muscle. So these aha moments, they're not just a bunch of isolated tricks. They're actually expressions of these deeper underlying principles that, well, they govern all effective movement. So a key principle they learned about is something called the diamond form. One of the students mentioned it's the key to getting your entire body to work in sync. Think of it like a foundational stance, keeping everything aligned from your head right down to your toes. It's all about making sure you stay balanced and grounded, so every single move you make is supported by this strong, stable foundation. And that form is just one piece of a much bigger philosophy.
the students started to learn that some principles are external, right? Like defense starts with awareness long before a fight ever happens. Some are physical. Your form is your foundation, and leverage, not muscle, is what creates real power. But maybe the most important principle of all is internal, controlling your emotions. Because in a real situation, panic is the true enemy.
So what's the end result of all of this? You've got the struggle, the breakthroughs, the principles. It all leads to a genuine transformation. And it's one that goes way, way beyond the classroom. Just look at this. This is where the training becomes real. Jaden isn't just learning how to protect himself anymore. He's now empowered to protect the people he loves. He's giving his sister practical advice. He's even teaching his grandparents a safer way to fall. This knowledge has become a gift that he can actually share. And finally, this quote from Penelope, it just perfectly captures the internal shift. The most powerful thing that happened wasn't learning a cool move. It was overcoming the belief that she wasn't strong enough. That single moment of success gave her a tool, not just for self-defense, but for self-belief. And that is the real power. So that leaves us with a final thought. For these students, learning Kung Fu wasn't just about punches and kicks. It was about discovering a strength they never knew they had, and a whole new way of seeing their own capabilities. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's a skill that you've learned that didn't just teach you what to do, but actually fundamentally changed who you are?